I happen to think that spiritually these pieces work very well together. One of the musicians today said, oh, interesting order for the program. We're starting with the Beethoven, and then we're moving on to the Dutilleux, and ending with Haydn. I think what the musician was thinking was that ordinarily you might see the Beethoven Symphony at the end, because Beethoven is later than Haydn, and Beethoven is, maybe people think that it packs more of a punch, but this was actually deliberate for me to start with Beethoven 8th Symphony, which is a fantastic symphony. It's one of his most joyous, one of his most scintillating and bubbly symphonies, but it's relatively small scale. It's short, all the movements are kind of upbeat, it's got a kind of scherzando feeling, and it doesn't grab you by the neck and say, I'm Beethoven. It's more joyous, it's lighthearted, and a lot of fun, and totally virtuosic for the orchestra. The orchestra can really sparkle and shine and show their technical prowess as well as their sort of joyous, upbeat personalities. But it's the Haydn Symphony, actually, to me, that really makes a great statement. And this is actually, I say this, and this really means something, because Beethoven for me is the, is the master of all masters. But this Haydn Symphony is, along with many Haydn symphonies, is so joyous and so creative and so imaginative, and so varied. It covers so much ground. I actually think it's a bigger statement than the Beethoven 8th Symphony, and so that's why I thought it should come at the end of the program. Dutilleux, Henri Dutilleux, is, I'll go out on a limb here, I think he may be the greatest living composer. And his music is incredibly fresh and modern, but also so clearly coming out of the French tradition of Debussy and Ravel and Messiaen. His music is so refined and so well written for all the instruments, and so quirky and human, that I think it's immediately graspable by all audiences, whether they've heard his music or not. His music has a rhythmic quality that is incisive. You might think of The Rite of Spring, of Stravinsky, a definite influence on Dutilleux, but also it is impressionistic and evocative in the way that a Monet painting is, or certainly the music of Debussy and Ravel. This particular concerto, I was very fortunate to be part of one of the early performances. It was written for Isaac Stern, and I was playing in the Curtis Orchestra. I was studying conducting at Curtis, but I was playing as a violinist in the Curtis Orchestra, and we did a tour to France, and Stern actually performed it. I think it wasn't the world premiere, it was one of the early performances of the piece, though, a long time ago, and I remember being totally struck by the music of Dutilleux. It was the first piece of Dutilleux's that I had ever played, and it totally grabbed me, and I became an immediate fan, and have subsequently done lots and lots of music of Dutilleux. I think it fits very well with Mozart, with Beethoven and Haydn. There's a huge contrast, but there's also a kind of rhythmic rigor that I think is very classically grounded. So you get the contrast, but also the sort of the line of precision, and that's for me what's exciting and challenging about French music, almost in general, is to find this kind of free, loose, shimmering, watery spirit with the real backbone of rhythmic precision, and Beethoven certainly has that, Haydn certainly has that. All in all, I hope it makes a really nice program. Renaud is a wonderful violinist and a wonderful communicator with audiences. He's playing a French work. He happens to be a French violinist, but that's not the reason to put these pieces together. It's that he's a consummate musician and knows how to really tell a story that an audience can grab onto. I know he believes in this Dutilleux as much as I do, so I'm really looking forward to doing it with him.